Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And boy, oh boy, we have an interesting episode for you guys here today that you definitely want to stick around for. So make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, all of you know that ever since the release of the Last Dance documentary, the docuseries, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan had a very public falling out, right? And it was mostly, it seemed like all of it came from Scottie Pippen's side, and it originated, from what I can remember, when Scottie Pippen went on the Dan Patrick Show. Okay, when he went on the Dan Patrick Show, I think at the time he's either promoting his book or maybe a liquor, I'm not sure. He went on there and then he started making some very, very inflammatory statements. First thing he said was Michael Jordan was basically posing for the cameras. You know, he was controlling the cameras and the narrative. That's number one. And he called out his former head coach, and Phil Jackson. He called him a racist. And then from that point, you know, that's when the firestorm really started, and then everybody started chiming in, and it just seemed like it was one thing after the other, one thing after the other. And it seems like we've covered pretty much every single angle of this news, and it seems like there's nothing new to be said. However, this morning while doing some research, I stumbled upon an article from basketballnetwork.net. And in this article, basically, it was talking about, or it basically explained the earnings that Michael Jordan made, or Michael Jordan's earnings from the Last Dance docuseries, and it shed some light into the possible reason some of Michael Jordan's former teammates started going at him after the release of the Last Dance docuseries. But before we get into that article, this video is brought to you by our sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Okay, so what we want to do is get into this article here and really read it, and then we're gonna, really get into the meat of this video. So basically, the article starts off with the headline: Michael Jordan's Last Dance earnings revealed. It continues on. The Last Dance aired in 2020 amid the pandemic, and it gave everyone a sliver of hope in trying times. Due to its huge success, everyone was wondering how much Michael Jordan earned from it, but the answer might surprise you. Michael Jordan's Last Dance earnings. The show's main protagonist, Michael Jordan, earned a paycheck of $4 million. Meanwhile, for Disney Plus, it was a massive success. The gamble to push the airing date to April 2020 was a genius move. People were cooped up in their homes, and seeing a story about a 90s hero and legend proved to be what they desperately needed at that time. All sports-related activities around the world came to a halt due to the COVID-19, and The Last Dance quenched everyone's thirst for sports entertainment. It continues on. Around 5.6 million viewers tuned in per episode. The docuseries had 10 episodes, which translated to about 24 million global viewers in a month for Netflix. Its success set the blueprint for how sports docuseries should be done. Even after the last episode of The Last Dance aired, people still talk about it. MJ's peers and friends all had something to say, and all were not nice. Many accused Jordan of using them for his benefits. Mike earned $4 million from the series, and none of them were paid for interviews or appearances. The article continues on. In reality, out of the $4 million paycheck, 0 went to the Chicago Bulls legend's bank account. He received 0 because he donated all of it to charity. MJ is no stranger to helping charities and organizations. He even pledged to donate $100 million to help eradicate racism in the United States. Finally, the article finishes off. Michael Jordan still benefiting from The Last Dance with a 2.1 estimated $1 billion net worth as of 2020. It's clear Jordan didn't lose sleep donating all the earnings from The Last Dance. So why did he agree to do it? Mike is a savvy businessman with a motive for every move. He wants to push a personal agenda to remind everyone he's still the GOAT of basketball. So we now know how much Michael Jordan made off of that series. And if he made $4 million, trust me, those boys like Netflix, well, do the math. Do the math, right? How much is Netflix charging every month? Netflix charges what, $10, $9.99, depending on the package you have and where you are, but $9 a month. And then you get what, an additional few million subscribers added to your thing. And then I think they released the series over like a 2-month period, if I'm not mistaken. So imagine all the money that they were able to make through that. Imagine the money that ESPN was able to make, Disney Plus. So these guys made hundreds of millions. They made a lot of money, right? They made a lot of money off of it. And for Michael Jordan to only make $4 million, it means that Michael Jordan essentially didn't make anything. He did it for free. If we're being honest, a guy that's worth $2 billion doing something for a $4 million paycheck, he did that for free. That was essentially charity work. And in fact, that's one of the reasons that he gave away that money. Now, let's address some of the notions here that, in fact, Jordan used his teammates for his own benefit, meaning he was able to get these guys on camera to be a part of a docuseries that mainly focused on him, and therefore he benefited the most. Let's assume that that is true. Let's assume all of that is true, and that let's assume that they didn't make a single penny, from the docuseries, and they should have been compensated on some level. Maybe they should have been paid, I don't know, 100 grand per teammate, 150 grand, depending on, who knows, right? Let's just assume all of them should have been compensated on some level, given the fact that they didn't make a single dime and Michael Jordan made $4 million. Let's assume all of that are valid reasons. Here's my question. If you noticed at a lot of the complaints that Scottie Pippen made about Michael Jordan, not one of them, from my recollection, not one of them made any mention of money or the money that was earned during The Last Dance. Not one of them. That's number one. Number two, and I want to verify this here for a second. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Scottie Pippen actually made more money in his NBA playing career than Michael Jordan. I want to verify that right. Let me just check. How much money did Scottie Pippen make in the NBA? Scottie Pippen earned $109 million. How much money did Michael Jordan, let's just see, make in the NBA? Michael Jordan made $90 million. I think he made, $30 million for the last 2 seasons in the NBA. So Scottie Pippen made a lot of money as a basketball player. And according to some of this research that I just did here, Scottie Pippen made more money than Michael Jordan. So I don't see why Scottie would be upset with Jordan that maybe Jordan got a check from the Last Dance docuseries and he didn't. When in fact, Scottie Pippen made more money doing the work doing the exact same work that Michael Jordan did. Now, Michael Jordan made a ton, boatloads of more money off the court, through endorsement deals, but that ain't got nothing to do with Scottie. That has nothing to do with him whatsoever. That's a byproduct of Jordan's greatness. But if we're talking about salaries on the basketball court, he earned more money than Michael Jordan playing basketball. That's number one. So Scottie Pippen made a lot of money. That's number one. Number two, given the fact that, So given the fact he never made mention of any of that, let's just assume that that's true for a second. Then why did he say all of those other things about MJ? All of those other things that he said about Michael Jordan. He's selfish, not a good teammate, didn't really have regard for any of his teammates. Then if it is about the money, let's assume that in fact that these guys are angry that they didn't make any money from the show. Why did he say all of those things? What was the reason to say all of that? Like, what was that based on? And finally, let me say this. If you follow this story chronologically, you will realize that a lot of these feelings that Scottie Pippen harbored against Michael Jordan, he's had them for decades. Because if you go listen to the things that he said about Jordan, these are things that he could only say about him from being his teammate. And that means that he's felt this way about Jordan for the last 20 years. Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, the last year they were teammates was in 1998. The Last Dance docuseries was released in, in 2020. And if you listen to all of the things that he said subsequently after the release, Jordan is this, Jordan is that, Jordan is this, Jordan is that. He was referring to things that things during the time of, them being teammates. So it makes me begin to wonder, well, wait a minute, I don't believe any of this is about money. I just believe that saying their fallout is about money may just be the easy way out. You can just say, well, Jordan didn't give him anything. And the fact of the matter is this: Jordan didn't make any money. He was paid $4 million, but he donated all of it. So that money never went to his pocket. So to me, I think this article provides an interesting angle to a story that has left a lot of us sports fans scratching our heads. A lot of people to this day don't really understand why all of this happened, like how this situation got to the point where it is right now, where basically there is no relationship between Jordan and Scottie Pippen. If you listen to the comments, that mutual friend and former teammate of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, Charles Oakley, when he made his media runs promoting his book, he said that the bridge between Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan has completely been burned to the ground. This is something that even Stephen A. Smith said on ESPN First Take. He said that their relationship is over. Right. So this article provides some new information, which is, number one, we know how much Michael Jordan made. But number two, it is now suggesting that some of his teammates, including Scottie, were upset with him that they didn't make any money from the proceeds of this docuseries. And finally, let me just say this. I don't know how this works because I never produced anything like this. We don't know. One would assume that before you do things like this, you sign contracts. And if you're going to sign a contract, you may have a lawyer at hand. And number two, you may ask some questions. I think it's safe to say we could assume that Scottie and the rest of the teammates would have asked, hey, listen, are we going to be getting paid for this? Now, if the answer was no and they still went ahead and did it, then what are we discussing here? Why is the amount of money that Michael Jordan made even relevant? Number one. And number two, if they did say, yes, we're going to pay you money, then you have a case. Because then you can say, wait, Jordan promised to pay all of us, that we were going to be compensated for appearing in this docuseries, and we didn't receive a single dime. But since the Last Dance was released, I haven't heard any accusation of that type being levied towards Michael Jordan. So this thing, this story, I believe, provides more questions than answers. This is one of the most head-scratching stories in all of sports. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about this report? And what new conclusions does this information allow you to, arrive at? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section. Let me catch y'all on the next.